Okay, let's unpack this, that familiar feeling when the month rolls around faster than your paycheck lasts.
Yeah.
You're definitely not alone. If you're looking to finally get a real grip on your household spending, make your money work harder for you, well, you've come to the right place.
Right.
Consider this your express lane, sort of, to understanding effective saving strategies. No heavy financial jargon needed.
And what's really interesting, I think, is how mastering those everyday expenses isn't just about, pinching pennies.
Right.
It's really the foundation for achieving those bigger goals, whether that's a much-needed vacation or maybe finally tackling debt or just building a more secure financial future. It's less about deprivation, really, and more about making informed choices that add up powerfully.
Exactly. And to guide us through this, we've distilled the core insights from two really good resources, 20 genius tips for saving at home and mastering your expenses, and 20 effective savings ideas to transform your financial future. So our goal today is to blend the best of both, offering you not just a list of tips, but a real understanding of how to, implement them for results you can actually see. Ready to dive in?
Definitely. And, as both our sources clearly point out, the absolutely essential first step is just gaining a clear picture of your current financial landscape.
Right. It sounds obvious, maybe, but truly understanding where your money goes, it's like having a map before you start a journey, isn't it?
It really is.
Both sources emphasize creating a realistic budget. Think of it like your financial command center. They suggest different tools, budgeting apps for convenience, spreadsheets if you like detail, or even like a simple notebook, whatever works for you. The crucial thing is to diligently track both your income and your outgoings for, say, at least a month.
And what becomes particularly clear when you do that, as our first source highlights, is the difference between fixed expenses.
Yeah.
Things like rent or mortgage, insurance premiums, they're pretty consistent, right?
Right.
And then the variable expenses, groceries, entertainment, eating out, where you often have, more control, and usually greater opportunities for savings. People are often surprised, actually, by how much those smaller variable costs really add up.
Absolutely. It's so much easier to see where you can make adjustments once you have that detailed breakdown. And the second source, 20 effective savings ideas, links this directly to that fundamental principle of living within your means.
Exactly.
When you have a clear budget right there, it's plain to see if your spending actually aligns with your income.
And this is where setting clear savings goals becomes so important, as both sources really underscore.
Yeah, motivation.
Right. Whether you're saving for a down payment, a dream vacation, retirement, having those specific targets, it provides motivation. It makes those day-to-day spending decisions feel, more purposeful.
Okay, so groundwork established. Know your situation, set clear goals. Now let's get practical. Some smart spending habits we can all try at home. Let's start with energy efficiency. Maybe not the most thrilling topic, but those little energy leaks, they can really hit your bills hard.
What's interesting here is how our first source frames it as uncovering hidden costs, basically doing a home energy audit.
Okay.
Taking a closer look to see where energy might be escaping or just being used inefficiently. One really actionable step they recommend: switching to LED light bulbs.
Oh, yes.
They use way less energy, like up to 75% less, and they last so much longer, so the savings over time can be pretty substantial.
Exactly. It's a relatively small upfront cost, but it pays off long term.
Yeah.
And beyond just bulbs, it's about those habits, right? Turning off lights, unplugging electronics that aren't actually doing anything.
Vampire power.
Yeah. They seem small, but doing it consistently, you can see noticeable reductions in your energy bills. Okay, next up, food.
Yeah.
A big chunk of most budgets.
Oh, absolutely. Both sources really emphasize meal planning. It's like the cornerstone of smart food spending.
Right.
By planning your meals for the week, making a list, and actually sticking to it at the store.
Sticking to it is the hard part sometimes.
It is, but it significantly minimizes those impulse buys that often, wreck our budgets. And maybe even more importantly, it drastically cuts down on food waste.
Which is huge.
Yeah, which is good for the wallet and, frankly, the environment, too. So much household food gets thrown away.
And I really like the bonus tip from the first source.
Yeah.
Cook bigger batches and freeze leftovers.
Yes.
Such a time saver on busy nights when ordering takeout seems so tempting. And it's a great way to make sure food you already bought doesn't go bad. Speaking of which, the cost difference between eating out regularly and cooking at home is, that's pretty staggering.
It really is. Even just a couple of restaurant meals a week can take a serious bite out of your budget. Which leads us nicely into entertainment. How do we have fun without breaking the bank?
Well, a big one for many people has been ditching traditional cable TV for streaming services.
Mm-hmm.
The first source points out how surprisingly expensive cable packages often are and highlights how much cheaper many streaming options can be. Plus, that strategy of subscribing only when there's something specific you want to watch, then unsubscribing. That's a really effective way to manage those costs.
It's about being more intentional, isn't it?
Yeah.
With your entertainment spending. And we really shouldn't overlook libraries. Both sources mention them. They're fantastic sources of free entertainment and knowledge.
Oh, totally. Not just books anymore.
Right. Movies, music, sometimes even access to streaming platforms, ebooks.
Free online courses sometimes, too. There's an incredible value. And for those of us who need our daily coffee fix, our sources have a tip for that, too. Brewing at home.
Exactly. That daily coffee shop run adds up incredibly fast over a month or a year.
Doesn't it just?
Investing in a decent coffee maker lets you control your brew, and it saves a significant amount of money long term. Plus, as the first source suggests, you can experiment, try different beans, different methods, maybe find a new favorite.
Okay, so we've covered some key spending habits. Now let's look at those recurring expenses, the ones that can sometimes, fly under the radar. Subscriptions first.
Yes, this is an area where a little regular review can uncover some surprising savings. Our first source really emphasizes periodically checking all your subscriptions, streaming, software, gym memberships, whatever.
All those free trials you forget about.
Exactly. Cancel anything you aren't actively using. Those small monthly fees, they seem small, but they really add up. They even suggest using subscription tracking apps, which can be super helpful just to see everything in one place and spot those forgotten ones.
Right. It's so easy. Those apps can be a real wake-up call. Okay, another category, regular bills. It might seem intimidating, but the sources suggest actually trying to negotiate things like internet, phone, maybe even insurance rates.
Yeah, the key here is being proactive. Don't just accept the rate they give you initially.
Okay.
As the first source points out, do a little research first. See what competitors are offering. That gives you leverage when you call your provider. Often, they want to keep you as a customer and might offer a better deal.
Good point. And speaking of insurance, car, home, life, it's not just about negotiating with who you have now. Both sources recommend regularly shopping around, get quotes from different companies.
Absolutely.
And explore bundling. Putting different policies with the same provider can often lead to pretty decent discounts. They even suggest doing an annual policy review just to make sure your coverage is still right and the price is competitive.
It's just about being an informed consumer, Don't be afraid to look for better offers. And finally, within recurring expenses, let's think about banking.
Yes, those pesky bank fees. They can really eat away at your balance. Our first source advises checking your statements for any recurring or weird charges, and consider switching banks, or maybe to a credit union if you keep getting hit with fees. Setting up low balance or overdraft alerts can also be a simple but effective way to avoid those nasty surprises.
Right, you want your bank to be helping you, not costing you unnecessarily. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Let's talk about some powerful savings tools and maybe mindsets that can really boost your efforts. Automation is a big one.
Oh, absolutely. The pay yourself first strategy. Both sources highlight this, and it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Setting up automatic transfers from your checking to your savings, even small amounts, like the $25 weekly example in the first source.
Right.
It makes saving almost effortless.
Yeah.
You prioritize it. And over time, those consistent small amounts really do add up significantly.
It's about making saving like a non-negotiable part of your routine, not just whatever happens to be left over at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Another interesting point they touch on is the psychology of using cash versus credit.
Yeah, the feel of cash.
Exactly. There's something tangible about handing over physical cash that can make you more aware of your spending, maybe help you stick to your budget. But they also acknowledge, strategically using credit cards for rewards or cash back can work. Yes, with the huge caveat, you must pay the balance in full every month to avoid those high interest charges. Otherwise, it completely defeats the purpose.
Absolutely. A tool used responsibly. And let's not forget the simple thing of saving loose change. The second source reminds us of that. Seems tiny, maybe, but those coins can add up to a surprising amount over time. It's gradual, almost painless. You don't really notice it day to day.
Little bits make a big difference eventually.
Okay, we've covered lots of ways to manage money and save more. Now, what about making smarter choices when we do decide to buy something?
This is where that idea of conscious consumerism really comes in handy. Our first source emphasizes actively looking for coupons and discounts before you buy.
Takes a few seconds usually.
Yeah, just taking a moment to check for online promo codes, maybe signing up for email lists from stores you like, can often lead to real savings.
Definitely. And buying in bulk can save money, for sure, on non-perishables you use all the time. Paper towels, laundry soap, that kind of thing.
Right.
But as the first source wisely warns, be careful with perishable stuff. Buying a giant bag of salad isn't saving money if half of it spoils.
That's such a critical point. Bulk buying only works for things you know you'll actually use up. Another area for potentially big savings, packing your own lunch.
Yes. The difference between bringing lunch from home versus buying takeout every single day is massive over a year.
Huge.
And I like the tip about getting kids involved in meal prep. Teaches them about healthy eating and budgeting early on.
It really is beneficial on multiple levels. And, for those willing and able, the sources suggest embracing secondhand shopping and maybe tackling some DIY projects.
Thrift stores, consignment shops, garage sales. You can find amazing deals on clothes, furniture, all sorts of things.
Little treasure troves sometimes.
And doing smaller DIY tasks around the house, mowing the lawn, painting a room, maybe even basic car stuff like oil changes if you're up for it, that can save a lot compared to hiring pros.
It's about being resourceful, developing some skills. And finally, when it comes to making smart purchases, the first source has a really helpful technique. The wait rule.
The 24-hour rule, or even longer.
Yeah, before buying something that isn't truly essential. It gives you that cooling off period.
Lets you think, do I really need this?
Exactly. Helps avoid those impulse buys that often lead to regret later. It's simple, but remarkably effective for curbing unnecessary spending.
Okay, so we've focused a lot on cutting back and saving, but the sources also touch briefly on other important parts of overall financial health.
That's right. It's not only about spending less, it's also about potential growth. The second source mentions thinking about ways to increase your income side hustles, maybe freelancing, perhaps starting a small business.
Right, more income helps.
And, of course, the huge importance of actively paying down debt, especially high-interest debt, to free up more of your budget for saving and eventually investing.
Absolutely. Debt can be such a drain. And looking ahead, both sources highlight investing for long-term wealth building. Things like stocks, bonds, maybe real estate.
Putting your money to work for you over the long haul.
So as we start to wrap this up, let's think about the mindset shift that often goes along with successful saving.
It really comes down to reframing how you think about saving, doesn't it? As the first source points out so well, it's not about deprivation or sacrifice.
No.
It's more about making conscious, deliberate choices that actually align with your values and your long-term financial goals.
And they include that really powerful Warren Buffett quote, "Do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving."
Yes, that just nails it.
That highlights that fundamental shift, right? Make saving the priority, not the afterthought.
It truly does. And the second source ends with a really thought-provoking quote from T.T. Munger. "The habit of saving is itself an education. It fosters every virtue, teaches self-denial, cultivates the sense of order, trains to forethought, and so broadens the mind."
Wow.
It reminds us that the act of saving builds positive habits and a valuable perspective that goes way beyond just the money itself.
So to sum it all up, getting control of your home expenses, saving money effectively. It's not some impossible dream. It's absolutely within reach.
Yeah.
It takes informed decisions, consistently applying these practical habits, and keeping your eye on those longer-term goals.
Precisely. The strategies we've gone through today, they offer a real roadmap, a concrete path towards getting more financial control and actually reaching those personal financial goals you've set.
So as we finish this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought. Just think about one or two specific things we talked about today. Something you could realistically start doing right away. What small, manageable change could you make? To start shifting things in a positive direction for your savings. And maybe even more importantly, just take a moment. Picture what new possibilities those savings could unlock for your future. What new options might open up? What dreams could get a little bit closer? It's all within your grasp.